There are 5 traits that can get a pilot killed in the long run. I got my wings in the Navy in 2001. For the next few years, I was roaming around, flying all over the world's seas with 3 of these embedded deep in my head, and I was kind of proud of it also. Stretch to the limits, Anti-authority. Rules are not for me, it's for mere mortals. Invulnerable to accidents, it happened to someone else, it will not happen to me. And I am the macho pilot who cannot do anything wrong. Stretch the aircraft, stretch it to the limits. And it's a miracle that I have survived. And TEDx and you are my witness that Lady Luck is all I have to thank for being alive right now. In aviation, we say that you start with a large bag of luck and an empty bag of experience. The trick is to fill the bag of experience before you run out of luck. Thankfully, I did not run out of luck, and I was given the experience, many experiences, but one experience changed me. It was a devastating experience for me. In 2010, there was an accident at Hyderabad. We lost 2 pilots during a naval aerobatic flying display. One of them was a very close friend to me. I was his neighbor. After all these years, I have still not recovered from that loss, and I still do not have the courage to look into the eyes of his wife or his child. I cleaned up my act as a pilot. I started becoming a keen student of accidents and emergency handling. I started reading up, and I started asking the question, why do accidents happen? I became a student of accident investigation. And the first opportunity I was given in the Navy, I became an accident investigator. And I was exposed to a human factors based accident causation theory by James Reason, propounded in 1990, popularly known as the Swiss cheese model. So in the Swiss cheese model, you visualize the organizational safety as a set of barriers, slices of cheese. The last barrier, which is normally broken before an accident happens, is an unsafe act. For preventing that unsafe act, you can put various other barriers before it, like slices of cheese. And since it's a Swiss cheese, you have holes in it. These holes, they represent the failures which exist in the system. Many of them latent or hidden. So, suppose an unsafe event happens, it might breach one level of safety at the organizational highest level, but there are many other barriers which you can keep below that, which can prevent an accident from happening, and the event gets diverted. But however, when you do accident investigation, you come to the sad realization that in every case, there are these holes which existed always in the system and that align during that particular day, and the accident happens. So when you look at it from an accident investigator's point of view or human factors mode, you would understand that all these failures or the holes in the cheese are the primary reason why accidents happen. And therefore, as an investigator, when I think about it, I can prevent it when you plug those holes. So there are many tools, like Reason's model can be linked to many other tools which can be used for designing interventions. So you design interventions, safety interventions, which can prevent a future accident from happening. So the next question, as far as an accident investigator is concerned, is that if we can prevent all the accidents, then can we have a society without accidents? I thought, yes, of course we can. Why? Because, of course, you cannot prevent those accidents which are purely the act of God kind. Means the ones which cannot even be prevented in hindsight. But most of the other accidents, if you look at it from an objective point of view, they can be prevented by plugging the holes in the Swiss cheese. However, we cannot have a completely accident-free world. The answer came to me from philosophy. Because if we are saying that accidents are caused by mistakes of humans, then it certainly cannot be prevented. Because the capability of making mistakes is core to human creativity. So probably we as a species require this capability of making mistakes. So I was not going to fight with nature. So I have to go to the next best thing. So among health and safety professionals, we have this term which is popular known as ALARP, or as low as reasonably practicable. bring down accidents to as low as reasonably practicable, and I have achieved my goal as an accident investigator. That's where I put my work in. But however, I asked another question. Then I saw certain cases where accidents repeat. If you are an investigator, you found the interventions and the interventions have been implemented, why does it repeat? Sometimes you see repeat of accidents within an industry, like what happened to Boeing 737 MAX within an industry, two different companies, but you can say that those accidents were similar. The most remarkable one which I studied was the case of Air India Express, the two accidents of Air India Express. The first one, which happened in 2010 in Bangalore, and the second one, 2020 at Calicut. There were a lot of similarity between these accidents. Both of these had runways with cliffs on both sides, tabletop runways. In both these cases, the captains, very senior ones, they were breaking all rules of a safe approach and landing, trying to achieve an impossible landing. They were not able to stop within the runway. The aircraft crashed over the cliff. In both these cases, the co-pilots were exactly aware of what was happening in the company. They were required by rule to have done an action known as go around or an abort landing procedure, which would have entailed them overriding the captain's actions and taking a series of actions with the throttle and other controls. The answer was sought by the accident investigators as to why the action or the inaction of the co-pilots. And the answer was found. It was found in the organizational culture that was prevalent in that company during that time. It was found that the power distance or the seniority gradient between the seniors and the juniors, the senior pilots, the captains, and the junior pilots, the co-pilots, was so large that there were many instances noted where communication collapsed and possible safety conditions occurred in cockpit because of this cultural gap or power distance. In these two cases, these co-pilots did not do what they were mandated to do, even to the peril of their lives. So that is the strength of influence that organizational culture can have on even the most trained among us when it comes to safety. Therefore, I knew that I needed to study more about organizational safety if I had to do justice to my job. So, the student in me was ready and the teacher appeared in the form of Edgar Schein and his very simple model. It's a model of organizational culture in which we can dissect it into three different levels. Like the tip of an iceberg, artifacts is what you see on the top, the actions of the people, how it looks when you enter a company, the interactions which happen, or even the failures of human decisions, all of those can be called as artifacts, which are underlined by various lower levels, the levels of value, which may not be seen. Those are less apparent things. And the deeper you go into a level called underlying assumptions, from where all the artifacts and all the organizational culture emerges. When I studied this model, I understood that there is a way of mapping what I find in an accident investigation model into an organizational culture model. And that's where I started connecting the dots, fulfilling my gaps in understanding as far as accident prevention goes. So what we need are interventions. And interventions have to be completely integrated from all sides to prevent an accident. And the integration I mean is about integration of accident investigation tools with some kind of a cultural inquiry tool. When we do that, what we would understand is that all those holes which we found in the accident investigation method can be mapped into the cultural investigation tool. And the moment you do that, you get a completely different perspective from which you can see the root causes. And you would find that the root causes always lead up to the organizational culture. If you unravel them, you would be unraveling the true root causes of all accidents. And intervention design cannot be complete unless you include cultural inquiry. So this is where I thought maybe it should end, but no, Schein taught me a little more. Any effort in cultural design or maintenance or whatever cannot be complete without one ingredient, which is leadership. It is this bracket of people called as leaders within an organization. They're called as leaders who are responsible to set, to maintain, to preserve, and to change the organizational culture if it is required to do so for achieving our safety goals. And we obviously will accept that safety cannot be injected from the bottom; it has to be poured from the top. So the responsibility and the accountability as far as setting and maintaining an organizational culture obviously starts from the top. However, we must also remember there has to be an element of leadership present in everyone, right down through the managers, even to the lowest worker. Because there are moments in anybody's work, especially when you're alone, that you might have to do a leadership function. You may not be a leader in that organization, but you might have to take that leadership decision at that point of time, especially in times of crisis and emergencies. Therefore, leadership training is one of the most important aspects of accident prevention which I could see. Therefore, the idea which I want to share with all leaders in all high-risk industries where there is a risk to life, limb, or health. The idea is based on three broad pillars of faith. Firstly, it is the faith, a very strong conviction that all accidents are preventable. Now, you may not believe it from the core of your heart, but as leaders, it is our duty to conduct ourselves, at least conduct ourselves based on the faith that all accidents are preventable. Second most important pillar is that all accidents can ultimately be traced to a root cause with rest, sometimes deep, latent, and hidden within the organizational culture. Unraveling that root cause is where the true prevention of accidents lie. And thirdly, the most important ingredient when it comes to success of any efforts to accident prevention is leadership, and therefore leadership training. So I come back to this question with which I started my journey as an accident investigator. That where does the buck stop? And I hope that it does stop in the hands of a strong leader, because if we do not handle accidents the way a leader is to handle, we would see that accidents occur and they reoccur. There is a saying in aviation: there are no new accidents, there are only new occupants in the cockpit. I hope we see a safer world. Thank you all for listening to me.